there is anger and there is anguish in the uniformed fraternity across the length and breadth of our country. Because soldiers who protect our borders, soldiers for whom the nation comes first, they ignore their families, they ignore their own well-being, they ignore everything else. For them, it's India first. But what India where an army officer is being assaulted by fellow Indians? Joining me now on this special broadcast is Rajeev Chandrasekhar, former minister, former member of parliament, someone who comes from Kerala and someone who's equally upset looking at these images that have gone viral across the length and breadth of our country. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, you are very upset. You're actually asking for Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan's resignation here. Why do you want the Chief Minister to resign in this case? Because the police say they've arrested the two accused in this case, sir.
No, look, there are obviously multiple issues here, but the important issues, Gaurav, is that, you know, when somebody joins the armed forces, somebody wears a uniform, and there's this famous saying, you don't join the army because of the enemy behind you, in front of you. You join because of the people of the country behind you. You represent, in a sense, that uniform you put on because you believe that the people of India want you to serve them, to defend them, to protect the nation, and that you have the goodwill of the people of India that you are protecting. And this is almost a simple philosophy and simple thought that drives people to join the armed forces and serve the nation and fight, serve, die for the nation. So when you see something like this play out in Kerala, okay, I understand Kerala has lawlessness, that there is a complete breakdown of law and order in that state. Hooliganism is on the rise. But to actually see a uniformed officer, a senior lieutenant colonel, being manhandled and assaulted like that by two hooligans, two criminals, two absolute goons, and have a police standing by and only then respond when there is all of this hue and cry. And even now, I believe that the cases that have been filed against these two are weak cases, and they are going to be very weakly prosecuted. Now, you will say, why are you thinking this? Why is it that you don't give a vote of confidence to the CM, or why don't you have confidence in the Chief Minister?
Yes.
Because this is played out, Gaurav, many, many times in Kerala, that you essentially buckle to public pressure and make these token arrests. And then due to this pressure or that pressure, the same goons are back on the street and sending a message that the law doesn't rule in Kerala and hooliganism rules. So
that's a very important point you're making, sir. The point you're making is that the two men who've been arrested, Nawaz and Nishad, the two arrested for assaulting a lieutenant colonel, a serving lieutenant colonel in uniform, you know, the way they're holding his throat or kicking him, it's completely unacceptable. But why do you think this is a token arrest, and that too 1 week after these images, and only after these images were shown on India Today, that the arrest actually took place, sir?
Oh, absolutely. And look, even I missed this story, and I only reacted to the story when a colleague of mine from Kerala pointed out your show and your story, and I immediately watched it and I responded. Look, the reason for my skepticism, and not just my skepticism, the reason that I believe that Pinarayi Vijayan, as a Chief Minister and Home Minister, will go soft on this, and this is a genuine concern, is because he has a track record of doing this. He has done this many, many times in the past. When it becomes politically inconvenient, he lets people off or files weak cases, and then people are bailed out or let out by the courts because of weak cases. And in this particular case, please remember, these two parties in Kerala are both masters in appeasement politics. They buckle under appeasement politics all the time. And the community of these two people who assaulted this colonel is not to be simply brushed over or given a pass. And this is why I'm genuinely concerned that 8 months, 9 months into the state elections that are due in very short time, that Pinarayi Vijayan will say, no, that's fine. I filed a case, and then a month later, when everybody has forgotten the story, these two jokers and these two goons will be back on the street pretending this whole thing never happened, and absolutely not regretting or not being able to be held to account for what they did. So I am very clear about one thing, Gaurav.
Okay.
Regardless of what Pinarayi Vijayan does or not, we will stay the course on this and will make sure that this is robustly prosecuted. And if any police officer thinks that he can do this, push it under the carpet thing because the Chief Minister has given a wink and a nod, the police officer may want to think again. If the Chief Minister come Home Minister thinks that he is going to play appeasement politics with this case, he should think again. We are asking today, not just me, I think broadly, most people who are upset by this there basically only one ask of the Chief Minister: do your job. You are the Home Minister. Uphold the Constitution, uphold the law, respect the armed forces who have, by the way, just finished a tour of duty in Wayanad, saving and rescuing hundreds of lives of Malayalis from Wayanad during that natural disaster.
Yes.
So it can't be that you're only respectful to the armed forces when you're in trouble, and the rest of the time it's a free-for-all where any hoodlum or any criminal can do whatever they want.
When you look at those images, and I want to reach out to you because you're also a soldier's son. Your father was a very well-respected aviator, someone who wore a uniform of the Indian Air Force for our country. So you understand the ethos, the izzat of the Vardi. But these gentlemen, Nawaz and Nishad, the two accused, why would you think that people like Nawaz and Nishad would not understand the respect our nation gives to the uniform, the way they're kicking an army officer in uniform?
No, look, this is it's inexplicable to me. I don't get it. I mean, are these people absolute lunatics, or have they been indoctrinated by this Marxist communist Congress free-for-all, where they've started to believe that anything goes, laws don't matter, respect doesn't matter, a uniform doesn't matter? I don't know. I don't know the answer. And I certainly don't want to play psychologist and figure out what these lunatics, what's going on in their heads. I certainly don't want to waste my time on that. But I am going to certainly commit a lot of time, and many of us are going to do this, to ensure that this never happens again. And these two people are taught an exemplary lesson of what happens when you disrespect people who serve the nation, because they serve the nation for all of us. And you, everybody have an interest in making sure that those people are never disrespected. And I don't care if they are the communist goons or Congress goons or goons generally without any affiliation, that they have to be held to account under the law. For this is absolutely incontrovertible, and there cannot be any argument, even if the argument comes from a failed Chief Minister or Home Minister.
It is also being said in Kerala that why are you singling out Nawaz and Nishad, who assaulted an army officer in Kerala? Incidents like this take place in multiple other cities where our soldiers have been roughed up, at times by the police, at times by people when they return home. It's a wider problem in our country. How would you respond to that, sir?
Look, the members of parliament and public representatives of different states can answer to what happens in their states. I am only concerned about Kerala, my state. I certainly don't want the Malayalis at large, Kerala, my state, to get this reputation that we are somehow ungrateful to the people who protect us, who serve, who give up life and limb for our country, that we somehow we consider them not worthy of our respect. I don't want that perception. And I am certainly clear in my mind that to a large majority, Malayalis and Keralites, we respect the armed forces. A lot of our uncles, brothers, cousins, and family members serve in the armed forces, have served in the armed forces with great distinction. And therefore, this instance cannot be given a pass, cannot be allowed to just go by. We have to send a message that this is not representative of our community, our state, and the Malayalis at large in Kerala. We have to send a message that we respect our armed forces. We consider them not just worthy of our respect, but consider them worthy of our devotion, and that we will not allow two aberrations, however connected they are or whatever community they come from, to change that perception in the minds of all of those who come and serve in our armed forces. So that is an important message. For the rest of the country, I don't know. It's for their public representatives to figure out that problem. It is clear to me that hooliganism, and there are political hooliganism, the politician-backed hooliganism that has begun to believe that there are no boundaries, there are no red lines. And sometimes they play out in disrespecting the police, sometimes they play out in disrespecting the armed forces, sometimes they play out in disrespecting IAS officers. But it should be made clear to everybody that there are red lines, and that is called the law. And it's not enough for their leaders to wave constitutions and talk glibly and smoothly about the law. You have to practice the law. And you have to practice the law when it matters the most, especially in an instance like this. And this, in my opinion, matters a great deal.
And why are you accusing the Chief Minister of Kerala, or why is this your apprehension about appeasement politics? Why do you think that there could be appeasement? Because we are told that one of the accused is also from your party, or someone who incited people there is also from the Bharatiya Janata Party.
I don't care who they are from, Gaurav. I absolutely don't think there is any the political affiliation or the pedigree of what he studied, did not study, where he came from, what he ate, matters in this issue. The fact is they did wrong, and the wrong must have consequences. And the reason I'm skeptical about the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan ji, he is also Home Minister, and him and me have had an encounter in the past when after October 7th, he essentially allowed a Hamas representative to participate in a video conference in an obvious attempt to radicalize the youth of Kerala. And when I challenged him on that, he called me a communal person. He called me a communal person for asking questions of why he's allowing Hamas to penetrate the minds of our youngsters in Kerala. And he then filed a case against me. So I know that it is coming to election season. I know the way these politicians of the CPM and the Congress think. For them, appeasement is the shortest cut in terms of politics. They don't want to do the right thing. They've never done the right thing. And therefore, I have a healthy skepticism about him doing the right thing. That is why I didn't say don't do it. I said, please do your duty. I said, please do the right thing. Please prosecute these two people to the fullest. Don't file weak cases and don't prosecute them weakly so that they're just out of jail or out of court in a flash, which is the go-to strategy when it becomes politically inconvenient to take the case to a natural conclusion. And that Pinarayi Vijayan is a master at it. He has done it for not years, he's done it for decades. And you know the history of Kerala and the violent politics of Kerala, and you've never heard of anybody being held to account for all that violence. And there is a reason for that. And the reason is this. And that is why the skepticism, Gaurav, and it's nothing, it's not about anything personal. It is about his conduct and the political expediency that undermines the rule of law in Kerala, not now, but for years on end.
You know, what you point out is actually alarming, that somebody from Hamas, which is seen as a radical Islamist terrorist organization, which was involved in the October 7 terror attacks in Israel, somebody from Hamas is permitted to address people in Kerala, and an army officer is assaulted and arrests only take place a week later. You're looking at this as appeasement politics, and God forbid, should this appeasement politics continue, what is your strategy to ensure, whether it is a Nawaz or a Nishad or others like them, do not take law in their own hands? How will you ensure that, sir?
Look, either the state prosecutes this crime or we will prosecute the crime. Either the police does a good job or we will go to the court and have the court direct the police and monitor the police's job in terms of investigating and prosecuting this crime. There is no scenario under which this crime will go uninvestigated and unprosecuted. On that, I want to give Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan an absolute 100% guarantee, and it's a Rajeev Chandrasekhar guarantee. We will not, and a whole bunch of us who are very upset about this, will not allow Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan or his friendly police to sweep this under the carpet. That is not going to happen. And the best solution, as far as I am concerned, is that the government does the right thing, the Home Minister does the right thing, the Kochi City Police does the right thing, and it's not a very difficult right thing to do. They should just investigate this, file the toughest strictures under the law, prosecute these people and send them to jail where they belong. And then they will come out wiser, and they will come out a lot more smarter about the red lines that they can cross and they cannot cross.
We will track that story very closely. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks. Attacking an army officer in uniform, strictly unacceptable. Our men and women in the armed forces, our men and women in uniform, police, Central Armed Police Forces, the armed forces, they've risked their lives protecting our nation. There is no way that you permit anybody attacking our men and women in uniform. We'll track the story very closely.